All right, so you heard about all this rental arbitrage stuff and what does it all mean? In this video, we're gonna go over what rental arbitrage is, how we got our first property, and how we set up our lease. I'm Benjamin.
And I'm Sheila.
And this is Hardy Hotel. So if you're on this channel, you've probably come across it because you're already interested in rental arbitrage. So I don't need to explain it. But in case you're new to this concept and you're my mom, hi mom, this is what we're doing. And this is what rental arbitrage is. It's essentially buying low and selling high, but with real estate. Just like when you buy a rental property or an investment property, you're paying rent to the bank. And when you're done paying rent to the bank, you get to pay rent to the government. So when you rent the property, you're bypassing that process of acquiring the property. You don't have to come up with 20% down, or in our area, like $60,000 to $80,000. And you get started a lot faster. You rent from a landlord that's like $50 a night, and you know that you can then put it on the market as a furnished unit for $100 a night. Boom, you make that profit in the middle. Now the trick is to remain occupied. One of the downsides to rental arbitrage is that you don't get the benefits of quote unquote owning the property. You don't get the principal pay down, and you don't get to benefit from the appreciation of that property. But you get to get started a lot faster with a lot less money. You may have to only come up with first and last, maybe a deposit. And after a year, if things don't work out, you get to leave without penalty. Now, you own the property, you're stuck with that mortgage. So a few years ago, when I was at my water job and I was driving around, I saw this property for rent. At the time, I was commuting about an hour, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could just, stay here every few nights, and then when I'm not staying there, just rent it out on AirBnB or something like that. And then I thought, man, that's a genius idea. What if I just did that full time? But I sort of talked myself out of it. Thought, nobody's really going to go for this, so I put it on the back burner. Fast forward a year, when I'm seeing that rental arbitrage is actually a pretty popular thing that people have been doing for a long time, I sort of felt like an idiot because I had wasted an entire year. After I quit my job, I took a transitional job as a technician at a computer shop. About 2 weeks into the job, I talked to this guy who owns a lot of real estate. I asked him if it was a feasible idea to rent out somebody's property, furnish it, and then put it back on the market. And he tells me, yeah, the idea is feasible. You just got to find somebody willing to do that. A few days later, I see him again. And he goes, hey, regarding your idea, I actually have a unit that is opening up here in a few days. Are you interested? Being excited at this interesting opportunity, since I knew the guy, and go home and talk to Sheila about it, and we sort of decide to go through with it, particularly because there was a fair going on in our area. Okay, this is kind of nuts. I mean, look at this place. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make this video yet, but we just got our first booking, and they're showing up tomorrow, and we're not even done cleaning the place yet.
Every year there's an Evergreen State Fair that happens, and there's like hundreds of thousands of people that come to this event, and we thought for sure if we decided to go through with this subletting, that we would, there's bound to be somebody that would want to book our place. At least that would give us a good jump start to our Airbnb experience, and hopefully get us on the road for getting those 5-star reviews.
We thought to ourselves that, if we're gonna jump in. Now's the time to do it because we need to get in on it while the iron was hot and while there was a lot of action going on. So in essence, this deal kind of fell in our laps. And you're probably yelling at the screen at me right now going, you knew the guy, it was easy for you. And I think that's the point that we want to land on today. When you want to get into rental arbitrage, doing it with somebody that you know and trust and who knows you and trusts you is the easiest way to get started. Networking here is key. The trust and relationships that you build with people will open so many doors to where the deals come to you. And you don't have to worry about the rug being pulled out from under you by shady landlords. That is what makes networking so powerful.
Once you've built that trust with somebody that you know, then it ultimately opens you up to other possibilities that they have a friend that they know also has some apartments or a place that they are open to you running the Airbnb out of their property as well.
That's sort of the deal here is whenever you start networking with people, particularly real estate investors who own properties, and you just say, hey, this is what we're doing. You know, we rent out places from landlords and then we furnish them and then we rent them out to short-term tenants such as doctors and lawyers and traveling nurses. Then all of a sudden you're not the guy that's trying to get something from them. They'll say, oh, actually I got 10 units or I have a house over here. Whatever that happens to be, they have you in mind when they need to fill their spaces. So the question is, how do you meet these real estate investors or people who own property? And there's bound to be some people in your circle already that own properties that you can do this with. And if there's not, then the next source would be to join real estate investment groups like meetup groups and start networking there, get to know people. Mm-hmm. Maybe put together a website and explain, this is our business model and this is how we can help you. Don't try to approach, oh, you got a property? Can I put it on Airbnb? I want to rent it from you. Let's not, stay away from doing that. So when we set up our lease, the only things that we added that made this whole deal possible was in the subletting clause, and we'll put something in the description as an example. But we just, in the subletting, right after where it says you're not allowed to do it, we had just 2 words was Airbnb authorized. If we were to do it all over again, and we probably will, is we would actually get our lease inside of an LLC and put an amendment in the subletting clause that would actually say that the landlord acknowledges that the blah 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 LLC is a corporate housing company and will be putting occupants in on a temporary basis.
Stay tuned, because in the next video we're going to give you a tour of what our unit looks like.
Yeah. And we're going to go over all the things that we bought to furnish the unit.